Marksmanship hunters are master sharpshooters with a really quick rate of fire. It's very fast gameplay and it's really, really fun. So then, I'm going to show you everything you need to know to succeed at playing one in The War Within Season 1. It's going to be very beginner friendly and digestible, and it's also going to tell you everything you need to know if you are a veteran. Let's get started with the stats and the stat priority. Our main stat is, of course, agility as a hunter, if my mouse will actually hover over it. And you're going to get more and more of this by just getting a higher and higher item level of gear. This here is the general secondary stat priority that you should loosely follow. And again, a higher and higher eye level is generally always going to be better. I would only really recommend actually comparing the secondary stats if you're looking at two items of the same eye level. What do our secondary stats do, however? Well, critical strike gives us a chance to do more damage. Mastery is unique to marksmanship hunters as a sniper training. The range of all your ranged abilities is increased, and the damage of all of it is increased more for the more mastery you have. So we are very good at attacking from a long distance. Haste is actually going to increase how quickly we attack, and also our focus regeneration, which, as you can see here, is the main resource we'll be using to cast our attacks and spells. Versatility is the same for all classes and specs. It increases damage and healing done, while also reducing damage taken. Now that we've gone through those, let's take a quick look at the set bonus and the tier set that we are getting in Season 1 of The War Within. The 2 set on our Lightless Scavenger's Necessities is Arcane Shot and Multi-Shot damage is increased, 2 of our main abilities. And the 4 set bonus, Consuming Precise Shots, increases the damage of your next aimed shot by 10%. And that will stack up to twice. Now, if you are a beginner and you don't know these abilities, I will be covering them in full in the rotation section of this video. So now we're going to look through some of the utilities and defensives and things like that we have available to us as a hunter in The War Within. So I do want to just say, if you are a beginner watching, don't worry, I'm not going to show you every single spell. These are the ones that I think are really, really important that you should be aware of and using. There are, of course, other niche spells, and maybe if you are a beginner, when you're more comfortable with your rotation and how the build works, maybe just have a look through your spellbook and your talents on the hunter side on the left and just see what else you have available. But I don't think it's good to overwhelm yourself if you are. So, first up on the left, these are things that we're more doing to our enemies, and on the right is more things that are going to actually help us and our allies. So starting on the left then, we've got Freezing Trap. You can see that you can place this wherever you like, and you're going to fling it over there like that. Hurling a Frost Trap at the target location, and it's going to incapacitate the first enemy that touches it. You know, it's a trap. And this is going to actually last for an entire minute. So they're stuck there now for an entire minute, unless you do damage to them, at which point that is then going to stop the trap. We then have Counter Shot, and this is quite literally on a 24-second cooldown, our interrupt or kick. If you hear people using the word kick, it just means it's their interrupt. This is how we're going to interrupt our enemy's spellcasting, and that is really important to do. Beginners and veterans alike often overlook the importance of interrupting your enemy's spellcasting. And in Mythic Plus especially, and PvP, this is really, really important that you do this pretty much whenever you can. Sorry if you can hear that car alarm that's just started going off outside my house. And it's really, really important that you do that. We then have Concussive Shot, and this is actually going to slow your target for 50% for 6 seconds. Then we have Misdirection. This is a really interesting one. I actually love Misdirection. This is actually going to misdirect any threat that you cause to an ally. So I wonder if I can do it to a random person. No, they have to be in my group. Okay. Basically, I can click on an ally and I can be like, boom, I'm going to misdirect my threat to you. So when I'm attacking the enemy, if I'm doing loads of damage, like on pull, the threat will actually, the enemy will start attacking that other person because I'm directing my kind of aggression to that person rather than me. And then let's say you have accidentally got threat off an enemy and it's attacking you and not the person you want, or you've pulled an enemy that you didn't mean to and you've gone into combat. Well, we can actually use Feign Death. And this literally is where you play dead on the ground like this, and it will last up to 6 minutes. And it will take you out of combat, generally, and enemies will just ignore you. It is fantastic. It's one of the best abilities in the game, honestly. So Going on to the right-hand side, we've got Primal Rage. This is Bloodlust, or Heroism, as it's otherwise known. And you can see here, you've got a 10-minute cooldown, fatigued, cannot benefit from Primal Rage or other similar effects. So if you have a Evoker, a Shaman, a Mage, for example, in your group, they will not be able to use their Bloodlust, their Time Warp, or Fear of the Aspects. It is a shared cooldown, but this is your Bloodlust. If you don't know what Bloodlust is, or Heroism, it increases the haste by 30% for all party and raid members for 40 seconds, which is massive. It's generally known as the biggest cooldown in the game. We've then got some defensives here. Survival of the Fittest, reducing all damage you and your pet take by 30% for 6 seconds. It's actually got 2 charges. We've got Camouflage. You and your pet blend into the surroundings and gain stealth for an entire minute. While camouflaged, you're going to heal 2% of your maximum health every 1 second. And lastly, we've got Hunter's Mark. You can put this on before you go into combat, and you should always be doing this. It's actually going to increase the damage done to that target by 20% when they're over 80% health, and that's going to be for in the entire party and raid, not you, which is a phenomenal way to actually add damage for your entire group going into combat. And that is it for Hunters. Like I said, there's a lot of other ones. You've got like down here, Eyes of the Beast, you've got Eagle Eye. You know, there's so many utilities that we do have available to us as a Hunter. Scattershot, Scare Beast, Tar Trap, you know, the list goes on. But again, these are the ones that I think are the really core and important ones going into the War Within that you should know. Now for the exciting bit, which is, of course, the rotation. So for Mythic Plus and also raiding in the War Within, and dungeons, of course, we are going to be taking the Sentinel hero talent for Marksmanship. It just is the absolute best. And we're going to be going through that in quite a bit of detail quite shortly. But first, I want to go through the rotation and some of the core and important talents we're taking. So first things first, we are going to cast Steady Shot. And we're going to cast that twice. And what that's going to give us up here is Steady Focus, where our haste is increased by 8%. And we want to keep this up generally as much as possible, which we are going to have to use another 2 steady shots to do. If you even keep it up at like 70 to 80% uptime, that is going to be absolutely fine. But that is one of our main priorities. We do have a talent here called Razor Fragments. When the trick shot's effect fades or is consumed, or after gaining Death Blow, your next kill shot will deal 75% increased damage and shred up to 5 targets near your kill shot target for some of that damage dealt by kill shot. Death Blow is this one here. Aimed shot has a chance and rapid fire has a chance to grant a charge of kill shot and cause your next kill shot to be unusable, let it be usable on a target regardless of their current health. So what kill shot does is it does a lot of damage, but it can usually only be done to targets below 20% health. TLDR, sometimes it will proc and you can use it whenever the hell you like. And if you do see it light up at this point, you're going to use it as one of your top priorities. Then we're going to use our rapid fire, and you can pretty much use this on cooldown. I love this one. I absolutely love it. Shoot a stream of 7 shots at your target over a few seconds, dealing a total of 600,000 physical damage, and you can use it while moving. Rapid fire causes your next aimed shot to cast 30% faster. So that's pretty simple. Then we have our true shot cooldown. This is our main cooldown for marksmanship hunters. And you can pretty much just use this as frequently as you can. And you will notice that it changes, your aim shot is going to change into Wailing Arrow. But more on that in a minute. Reduces the cooldown of your aimed shot and rapid fire by 70% and causes aimed shot to cast faster for 18 seconds. While True Shot is active, you generate 50% additional focus, which is our main resource as a hunter, and generate 1% critical strike chance and 2% critical strike damage every 1 second, and that can stack 10 times. Every 50 focus spent reduces the cooldown of True Shot by 2.5 seconds, okay? After that, we're going to use our Wailing Arrow whenever we can. So I've put this on here twice because the first one is use Wailing Arrow if it's up. If not, just use the normal aim shot. And that's kind of how I tried to visualize it for you. So it's a powerful aim shot that deals physical damage and causes your next 1 to 2 arcane shots or multi-shots, which we'll go through shortly, to do more damage. Aim shot deals more damage to targets who are above 70% health. Aim shot also fires a serpent sting at the primary target. What is Serpent Sting? Well, that's another dot or damage over time that will just do nature damage over a fairly, not short period. It's about 20 seconds. So I've put it on here twice, but really it's going to be use it if it's Wailing Shot or use it if you've got aim shots. We're going to be using it pretty much either way at this point in the rotation. Again, use Steady Shot here. If you're, I can't remember what it's called now, your Steady Focus has come off. So use it twice to get Steady Focus back up. You can use that here as well. Another thing we have here is Precise Shots. Aimed Shot causes your next 2 arcane shots or multi-shots. Basically one single target, one's multi-target. In single target, we're not obviously taking multi-shot. Aimed Shot causes your next 2 arcane shots to deal more damage and cost less focus. So we're then going to use our arcane shot to spend that. So if I use Aimed Shot, you can see I've now got 2 stacks of precise shots, meaning that arcane shot will do a lot more damage. So we're going to basically get back up our steady focus, and then we're going to be like, right, let's spend that buff that we've got from our aim shot on our arcane shots. After that, we're going to use kill shot if it is available at all. Then we're going to use explosive shot on cooldown, but it's at quite a low priority. It's down here. And then pretty much using arcane shot to just dump any spare focus we have at this point. And if you've got absolutely nothing to press, then it's going to be steady shot. So again, steady shot to keep up your staying steady buff. Use kill shot if it procs. Use rapid fire on cooldown. Oh, and there it is. It's proc, so we're going to use it at that point. Then use true shot on cooldown. Use your wailing arrow and your aimed shot here. And then making sure that we're keeping up our stay steady. Then using our arcane shot to use our buff precision shots. Kill shot if you can. Use explosive shot on cooldown. Use arcane shot to just dump any extra focus. And then steady shot if you've got nothing to press. Now, don't go through this from left to right, remember. This is a priority list, meaning we should be going sort of down. Yeah, you know, click here and then click here. But, oh, no, we're going back up. You know, it kind of works sort of like that, if you will, as a priority list. So we're always trying to go up to the highest priority. If we then move into the Mythic Plus kind of AoE build, you'll see that it is very... Why am I still in combat? You can see it is fairly similar. Believe me, it looks like we're changing a million talents, and, well, we are. I can't really say we're not, but it is actually a really similar rotation that we are doing in AoE. We're gaining something here called Salvo, where your next multi-shot or volley now applies explosive shot to up to 2 targets hit. We're gaining multi-shot, which kind of fires out multiple arrows. And we're gaining something called volley. So how are we going to put that all together? Well, it's actually a much simpler rotation, but it is similar. I don't know why I keep saying it's similar. It's not, okay? It's not at all. I lied. So same again, we are going to use our steady shot. Oh my God, if I can click the button. To keep up our staying steady. And then we're actually going to use our explosive shot on cooldown. Fires an explosive arrow at a target, exploding, and it will deal damage to all nearby targets, hence why in AoE it is such a high priority versus in single target where it's not. Then we're going to use volley on cooldown, and obviously we're going to place it on our targets. It's literally going to do a volley of arrows on our targets. Then use rapid fire on cooldown and true shot on cooldown, just like before. And then use your aimed shot on cooldown as well. But make sure you are using your precise shots before you use aimed shot, and we're going to be using those on, of course, our multi-shot. So you're kind of going back from aimed shot to multi-shot. So aimed shot to get the precision shots for more damage on your multi-shot, and then doing it. Oh, and by the way, you will sometimes get a proc on your aimed shot like this. And that's lock and load. Your ranged auto attacks have an 8% chance to trigger lock and load, causing your next aim shot to cost no focus and be instant. So you can use it there when you get that one. And then pretty much after that, we're again just using our steady shot to activate our steady focus. And then again, you know, using multi-shot with aim shot for the precision shots. And then if we've got, again, nothing left to press, it's going to be steady shot. And that is the complete Mythic Plus rotation for you. So we're going to go for the Sentinel hero talents, and these are all included already in the Marksmanship rotation, etc. that I've shown you. This is just kind of looking at the why around the what being the rotation, the why now being hero talents. And as they are, of course, new, I want to go into these in a bit more detail than I usually would. So the keystone talent, as it's called, is Sentinel. Your attacks have a chance to apply Sentinel on the target, and that can actually stack 10 times. While Sentinel stacks are higher than 3, applying Sentinel has a chance to trigger an implosion, causing a stack to be consumed on the target every second to deal damage. Basically, we're passively going to be stacking up these stacks and doing damage to our target. On the left, we've got Don't Look Back. Each time Sentinel deals damage to an enemy, you gain an Absorb Shield, which is really nice, and that can stack. Release and Reload. When you apply Sentinel on a target, you've got a chance to apply a second stack. Cool. Faster stacking of Sentinel. Eyes Closed or Sentinel Watch, where Sentinel Watch is that whenever a Sentinel deals damage, the cooldown of True Shot is reduced. Or Eyes Closed for 8 seconds after activating True Shot. All abilities are guaranteed to apply Sentinel, getting those stacks up really fast. Extrapolated Shots. When you apply Sentinel to a target not affected by Sentinel, you apply an additional stack, so it stacks up quicker. Utility choice here, Catch Out. When a target is affected by Sentinel deals damage to you, they're rooted, but can only happen every minute per target, so it's not that often. Or Sideline. When Sentinel starts dealing damage, the target is snared. Do you want to stop them, or do you want to snare them more often? That's up to you. Symphonic Arsenal. Multi-shot discharges arcane energy from all targets affected by your Sentinel, dealing damage to up to 5 targets near your Sentinel targets. So basically, when you use multi-shot, it's going to go and deal damage everywhere. That's the official way of explaining it. Sentinel Precision. Aim shot and rapid fire deal more damage. Invigorating Pulse. Each time Sentinel deals damage to an enemy, it has up to a 15% chance to generate some focus. Lovely. So Sentinel has a chance to generate some focus back for us. Chances decrease with each additional Sentinel currently imploding applied to enemies. Last choice node is Overwatch versus Crescent Steel. Overwatch. All Sentinel debuffs implode when a target affected by more than 3 stacks of your Sentinel falls below 20% health. And Crescent Steel, targets you damage below 20% health gain a stack of Sentinel every 3 seconds, which is adding to our execute phase. Lastly, it's Lunar Storm. Every 15 seconds, your next rapid fire summons a Celestial Owl. And that owl is going to conjure a 10-yard radius Lunar Storm at the target's location. This is where it gets a bit crazy. A random... Oh my gosh, a moth in here. Meanwhile, it's a Sentinel Owl. A random enemy affected by Sentinel within your Lunar Storm gets struck for arcane damage really often, and any target struck by this effect takes more damage from you and your pet. So if they are in that effect, they're going to take more damage from you, TLDR. It's a pretty nice hero talent. You know, we're stacking up Sentinel stacks, we're getting an owl going crazy, multi-shots whizzing around, loads of damage, there's damage imploding. There's a lot going on, but it's all very passive, meaning that it's not actually overcomplicating things for us in our rotation. Yeah, you know, we don't really have to think about this stuff happening. It's kind of just happening as we're doing our rotation anyway, which is really, really nice. And that is Sentinel. Finally, we're going to look at the consumables and enchants, etc. that we're using. So in the War Within, a few things have changed. Nerubian Gem Weavers. These are the new things you get in the weekly vault that you can add sockets to your gear with. So you're going to get them on the head, the wrist, and the waist, or at least that's where you can use them, should I say. You'll also notice these magnificent jeweler's settings. Basically, you can now add 2 sockets to your neck and 2 to each ring, rather than just adding 3 sockets to a neck. So 2 on the neck, 2 on the ring, 2 on the ring. Chant of Winged Grace. It gives avoidance and takes away some fall damage on your cloak. On your chest is Crystalline Radiance, giving you, primary stat, Chant of Armored Avoidance gives you some avoidance. Going to put an armor kit on our legs. Defender's March or Scout's March. It's up to you which one you go for here. I like Scout's March as it gives speed, so you can get around quicker and a bit more mobility. Critical Strike is generally the best enchant for the rings, but if you are simulating, do be careful to check which is the best secondary stat for you, and the Authority of Radiant Power is going to be on your weapon enchant. Basically, dealing damage has a chance to smite your enemy with Radiant Power, and then also massively increase your primary stat as well. And that is what that weapon enchant will do. Then, looking at the actual consumables, I would just say to go for the Flask of Tempered Versatility, because it's a very general flask, like we did in Dragonflight. Same in the War Within. You can just use that to get more versatility. Feast of the Divine Day, pretty obvious on why we're using a feast. Tempered Potion, this is really interesting. This is actually going to increase all your other secondary stats that you're not using on your flask. Algari Healing Potion is the healing potion for the War Within. Algari Mana Oil, again, adding haste and crit, I think it is, off the top of my head. I filmed so many of these. I'm like, is that what it is? It is, on the Mana Oil for your weapon. And if you are using an Augment rune, these are called Crystallized Augment runes. This just gives you a bit more primary stat, but are generally very expensive. And then sockets, Culminating Blasphemite. Basically, it adds primary stat, and it's also going to add 0.15% critical effect, not chance, but effect, per color gem you have. So if you're using a ruby, an onyx, a sapphire, and an emerald, it's 4 times 15, so you're going to get 0.60%, so 0.660, not 60%, 0.60% increased critical effect. If you're only using rubies, you're only going to get 0.15%. Hopefully that makes sense. Once you've used one of each color, feel free to go ham, depending on what you need for your character, if you're simming, etc., or based off the stat priority I showed earlier, depending if you're a beginner or not, for the rest of the gems. But on your first 4 gem sockets, do try and get one of each color for your Culminating Blasphemite. Thank you so much for watching this guide. I hope it was really useful for you in the War Within Season 1, whether it was for Mythic Plus or raiding. If you do have any questions, I'll be happy to help. My Patreon is in the description below, and that is where you can find my LVUI profiles, which I'll show you in a second. And also, I'm putting together a huge macro list for every single spec that's going to be really useful for you in the War Within as well. I am doing all classes and specs for the War Within, so if you are new to the channel, then please do click this playlist here to check out what else I have, which is all of them. There will also be PvP guides on this channel as well for War Within Season 1, so make sure to look out for that. This here is the UI that I was referring to. As you can see, we've got target frames, etc., left and right, and raid frames go in the middle here, and then weak auras in the middle with an action bar down here. Chat is behind where my camera is. Minimap and details, etc., are here on the right. All of the plater profiles, the voodoo, the LVUI, etc., details profile has all been made by me. And again, you can get this on my Patreon should you like it.